Hello and welcome to this week's Ruby Shoes podcast, bringing you the very best of local entertainment across East Anglia each and every week. This week we chat to Britain's Got Talent winner Jon Courtenay about his appearance coming up in Suffolk next month. Plus, Tenors Unlimited are coming to the New Wolsey Theatre, and we've got a host of brilliant shows you won't want to miss out on. The county's chance to shout about all the very best that Suffolk has to offer. It all kicks off on Wednesday the 29th, and the second and final day of the Suffolk Show is Thursday the 30th of May. Now, I'll be there on stand 646 as a guest of presenter for Suffolk Sound Radio and the host of their breakfast show, Rob Dunger. More on that in a bit. First, let's hear from the one and only Gold Buzzer, Britain's Got Talent winner. Jon Courtenay put together a unique show with music, comedy and the piano over 20 years and became one of the most sought-after entertainers in the cruise and corporate industry before appearing on Britain's Got Talent in 2020, where the hosts Anton Deck awarded him their Golden Buzzer. Then he went on to be the judge's choice in the semi-final, and then Jon was the first ever Golden Buzzer act to win the whole show. The following year, if that wasn't enough, Jon was awarded Best Performer at the National Reality Television Awards in London. And now he's talking to us here. Jon, welcome.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. Wow. That's incredible. You know, you've got all this. We often hear when we talk to performers, you know, you've got to do the circuit, you've got to do all these years and get all these things behind you. Then you go on Britain's Got Talent and you literally blow them away. That must have been an incredible feeling. What led up to going on to there? Because were we just coming out of lockdown at that point? I'm wondering if it you know.
No, we were just going. Well, we were just going into it. It was my audition was my audition was actually filmed in January 2020, so the world was still relatively normal. I think a lot of professional entertainers get the email from the producers of Britain's Got Talent that they have these sort of talent scouts, and they either see your show on YouTube or they see you performing somewhere, and you get an email saying, "Hi, I'm a television producer, and we think you'd be great for a new project that we're working on." And it's always Britain's Got Talent. So, and most of us, you know, I was very busy. I was traveling. I was doing shows all over the place. And there was a long time on Britain's Got Talent when Simon used to criticize acts for being cruise ship entertainers, which I was doing a lot of at the time. It was still is a great circuit to work on. And it used to wind me up. I mean, when was the last time he went on a cruise ship and saw sort of, you know, the quality of the entertainment that was, I get it. 50 years ago, it was a very different circuit. It was very much sort of like Vegas used to be, sort of washed up entertainers. But now both of those have changed. You've got, you know, the A-listers in Vegas, and you've got some amazing talent on the ships. So I put it off for years, and I said, no, Britain's Got Talent isn't for me, as did most of my colleagues. And then I think the show realized that a lot of their professional acts that they were approaching were coming from the cruise circuit. So Simon stopped criticizing the cruise ship acts. But then I had the problem of thinking what I was going to do in 3 minutes if I went on the show, because my live show has always had such a mixture of stuff. It's got, you know, the piano and stand-up and comedy songs. For a while, I even did comedy magic in my show. So, and then a friend of mine said, you know, you should go on it because the exposure can only be good. You know, you get some extra work out of it, some extra gigs. I said, I don't know what I do. And he said, well, why don't you write one of your original songs and write about auditioning for the show? Make it about here and now, you know, sort of relevant. So I did. I came up with the song quite quickly when he gave me the idea. And then it was just an opportunity to perform at the Palladium. That was the only reason I went in for it. I love that theatre. All my heroes have been on that stage. Great nostalgia, watch shows there with my parents. So I thought, well, if nothing else, even if I get buzzed off, I can say that I performed at the London Palladium. And just the opposite happened. It went nuts. They loved the song. Anton Deck, I think I touched a nerve singing about my dad not being alive to see me on TV. You know, I know Ant's dad had passed away not long before that. And it touched a nerve, I guess. They ran out and hit the buzzer, and it all went a little bit crazy.
What an amazing thing, though, and what an amazing feeling for you.
Yeah.
To have all that happen, especially when you didn't really have much expectation. You just thought, I'll go out. It's another performance. Yes, it's the Palladium, which would be amazing, but that really was kind of going to be your high point for you. But really, it was just the beginning, wasn't it? So tell me about after then, that golden buzzer moment. You then get straight through to the semi-finals. Talk me about the semi-finals. What happened there?
Yeah, well, of course, by the time it got broadcast, as I say, we filmed it in January, but it didn't get broadcast until April. So by then, we were well into lockdown. I think March 23rd was when we got. If it was my son's 16th birthday, so he wasn't impressed. And yeah, so there was talk for a while of the show being cancelled, which would have been so horrible having
Oh,
had that sudden exposure, because they were saying there's no way we can do it without a live audience. And of course, all the theatres were shut. You weren't allowed to have a live audience. And then they came up with this idea of this multi-million-pound giant Zoom screen, which is what they built, which was far from ideal. It was my whole career has been about performing live and having a live audience, and it gives you there's some sort of a buzz that gets unlocked. Or for me anyway, I'm quite sort of I'm naturally quite an introvert. I'm quite happy with my own company. But when I walk out on stage in front of a live audience, something clicks and I go into performance mode. And it's hard to fake that when you're performing in front of a giant Zoom screen. It was very, very strange. And we had no audio either. There was no, they couldn't cope with an audio stream from 1,000 computers, obviously, people watching. So they basically put all the audio on afterwards. So there was we only had the four judges there.
the sort of deafening silence you're performing to, basically.
Horrible. Yeah. Or just a chuckle from four people, and maybe a couple of cameramen who you'd hope to try and entertain. It was really strange. But at least it went ahead. So it was delayed, and then the semi-finals, and then the semi-finals, I got the judges' choice, which is a new thing they brought in that year because they didn't have the live audience. And the judges chose 3 of the acts to be put forward, and then out of those 3 they chose one for the one to actually go straight through to the finals. So I was that one act in the semi-finals. So until the finals came around, I hadn't been put up to a public vote, which only occurred to me just before we recorded it. I said, this is scary. I got no idea if the public even like what I'm doing. I said, I know Ant and Dec like me, and I know Amanda likes me. Other than that, and I think it was a case of being in the right place at the right time. I mean, I was always trying to write something to be optimistic, and I've always tried to, tap into that. Whatever so we've got a shared experience with every audience I work with. I love the fact that I've written stuff over the years. I've been on cruises where we've gone through really rough weather, rough seas, and the next day I'll write a song about it, and the audience immediately know that I've written something original just for them. Yeah. And that's quite appealing and quite unique. And I think I tried to do that in the finals. I wrote this song about us all, coming out of lockdown, and Britain's talent will be that we carry on, and the old Britain will, that wartime poster of so I tried to, and I think it worked. As one radio interviewer asked me quite rudely in a live interview, he said, "Jon, do you think the only reason you won is because it was COVID?" Oh. I said, well, to be honest, I don't care. I said, this business is all about being in the right place at the right time. And I think I was, and I'll forever be grateful for it. It certainly got me and my family through lockdown. It gave us something else to focus on when we were going through that horrible time. So, yeah.
So I'm going to come to the fact you're going to be performing in Suffolk next month, which is going to be absolutely amazing. But after then, the following year, as I said, you were awarded the best performer at the National Reality Television Awards in London. Did you get a proper audience by then, or were we still kind of at that, social distancing bit? I can't remember now. It was. My mind has sort of tried to blanket.
I know. Yes, it all sort of mashed into one, didn't it? No, by then we had it was fun. It was quite amusing actually, because my management at the time, I was doing a show somewhere, and they said, "Oh, we finally got the invitation through for the NTAs, the National Television Awards." And I said, "Oh, great." And she said, "And you've been nominated." And I said, "Well, that's weird." I said, "Because Britain's Got Talent gets nominated every year, as one of the best reality show." And I said, "That's strange." I said, "I don't think there's a category where one of the, like the winner of." Anyway, she got it wrong. It turns out it was the NRTAs, which is a bit more of a low-key affair. It's not televised, but it was the National Reality Television Awards. And I still got to go to the NTAs as the winner of BGT, which was great at the O2 and the big red carpet. But the NRTAs, which was a great night out. My wife came with me, and it's a big party. There's lots of booze and it's fun. But I don't tend to watch reality shows, so my wife watches a few of them. So when we rocked up to this the venue in London, I didn't know anybody. I mean, my wife's going, "Oh, there's so and so from Love Island," and there's so nobody knew who I was. Well, I didn't know who anybody was. Yeah, and then I was presenting one of the awards, and it was quite funny. I was presenting the first award. I forgot what it was, and I went backstage, and there's the table with all the awards on. and the award at the front said best reality performer, Jon Courtenay. So I didn't even know that I'd won and so I saw my award. I went,
oh,
which was nice. So that was fun. That was a great night out, and then
no
the
one thinks
NTAs,
to put
and
a
then
cloth over them, for goodness sake.
yeah, it's all good. It's all fine. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So since then, I'm sure you're in high demand, and we are absolutely delighted that you're going to be in Suffolk next month. You're raising money for our local charity, Cancer Support Suffolk. It's Thursday, the 20th of June. It's at Venue 16, which is Tuddenham Road, Ipswich, formerly known as Gresham's. £25 per person is an absolute bargain because it's an afternoon tea, but you also get to see yourself perform. There's also the radio star Reverend Pulpit and also singer Rachel Foskett's going to be there between 2:30 and 4:30 p.m. Tell us what you're going to bring to that afternoon, because you do so many different things, as you said.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing my piano with me. Obviously, I've done a few gigs where there aren't pianos available, and I end up doing sort of stand up, whatever. But it's nice that I'll be able to bring my piano with me, and it's nice to come back to Ipswich. It's my hometown. My dad was born in Ipswich. My family, lots of family, are still down there. And of course, I went through. I mean, we kept it secret on the show, but I went through a cancer experience during Britain's Got Talent, which we kept it a big secret on the show because they would have loved that to become a story. They're always trying to. I mean, I've always said Britain's Got Talent is a television show first and a talent show second. It's not like the old days of Bob Says Opportunity Knocks and New Faces, which were talent shows. And they love a sob story. They're always trying to find an angle, and that would have been front page. It would have been, the Antindex's Golden Buzzer go through. And that, I think the thought of getting a sympathy vote scared me more than the cancer diagnosis. I've been in this business for 25 years. I didn't want people voting for me because I was going through this health crisis, which is sort of so common now, So I came out the other side. It all coincided with the whole BGT experience. It started off as a melanoma, then it metastasized to my neck. It was pretty horrible. But I got the all clear in 21, had a year of immunotherapy. So when this offer came through to perform for the cancer charity in my old hometown, it's a no-brainer. I can't wait to come down. So yeah, there'll be some songs, some comedy. I haven't actually put the program together yet. I'll try and make it unique. I might try and put a little ditty together for it. Yeah. It'll be fun. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Oh, and we're very much looking forward to seeing you, Jon. Thank you so much for your time today for the Ruby Shoes podcast. It's going to be amazing. And thank you for giving up your time to do this. And all the best with the future career. I mean, I imagine you are pretty busy. Now we're back out and you can perform and you're back on the circuit. Have you slowed down at all? Have you thought, because a lot of people, when they came through lockdown, they changed their lifestyle. Because sort of a forced change, when they come out the other side, they thought, do you know what? I might do more of that, but less of that. Did that affect you at all? Or have you carried on, pretty much as you were before?
No, it did. I sort of took it was very strange. I mean, as I say, I've been doing this for a long time, and a very common question, especially just after I'd won all the radio interviews, the TV stuff, people would say, has this changed your life? And for a while, the easy answer was yes, because, that's just what you think. But then I thought, well, actually, no, not really. I say COVID changed all our lives, and then cancer certainly gave me a new perspective on life. And basically, the success on BGT let me carry on working. It sort of put me at the top of the list when work came back, and I had my first sort of UK theatre tour, which still suffered with the social distancing and people being a bit scared to come out, But at least I got to do it, and that huge privilege of people buying a ticket to come and see you, which you don't get to do in this business unless you're a minor celebrity or whatever. It's hard to sell tickets for shows. So that was incredible. I did a second UK tour beginning of this year, and it's been amazing. So, and I'm doing some work on Back on the Ships. I'm doing the corporate work. I'm doing lots of charity stuff, which I love doing as well. So yeah, keeping busy, but also I think between COVID and the cancer, it really gave me a joy for family, and that as I say, that perspective of life is more than just going out there trying to earn $1 or £1. You've got to find that life work balance.
To book your tickets for a delicious afternoon tea in Ipswich next month and to see Jon along with 2 other acts performing live, it's all in aid of Cancer Support Suffolk, and it's just £25 per head. We'll be there too, so if you do come along, make sure you say hi. Get your tickets by going to cancersupportsuffolk.co.uk. Tenors Unlimited, the Rat Pack of Opera, will be performing in concert, celebrating 20 years on Saturday the 1st of June at 7:30pm at the New Wolsey Theatre in Ipswich. The dynamic duo Paul Martin and Jem Sharples are re-embarking on the last leg of their 20th anniversary tour after a highly successful year, captivating audiences both sides of the Atlantic. And now, as a highlight to that tour, they're joining me here on the Ruby Shoes podcast. Welcome, both of you.
And what a highlight!
That is what a welcome. I think you've said it all. We can go now.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to go home. I want to go home.
I imagine the pair of you must be exhausted. Tell me, where has this tour taken you? Before you come to it, what you've been, all over, haven't you? What's some of the highlights for you? Jem, shall I ask you first?
They're always highlights. Being on stage with Paul is a highlight, I can assure you.
Absolutely.
But I would say we were in. They're all great. Every show is different and every show is special. So I mean, that's sort of comes at the top. But I would say probably in New York when we were there in November was a very special time for Paul and I. It was a great show in Queens, and yeah, it's just lovely to be. To think that we've got to New York and we're there. We've sung it a few times, but of this particular tour, that was a very nice thing.
And what about you, Paul? Would you agree, or was there somewhere else for you?
No, I definitely agree that one. It still sort of pinched me when I'm getting on a plane to 4,000 miles away and landing in Texas or New York or wherever, and are people really going to come out and listen to us sing? And they still do, which is really wonderful, and more so in recent years. So that is a kind of pinch me moment. But there's nothing like coming home, is there? And performing to a British crowd, and with our sort of getting our sort of sense of humour and things like that. So just being on the road generally around the UK. And when there aren't any traffic jams, it's a very pleasurable experience.
You come back to small roads.
We like to involve the local choir, so we don't just come in and it's Tuesday, it must be Ipswich kind of thing or whatever. We come in and especially Jem has a lot of contact with the local choir. We sort of search for a local choir, so we share the performance with members of the local community as well. And then we make, we've got sort of social media friends from all these choirs going back years and years who still comment on us and say, "Are you coming back?" and things like that. And so we have generated this wonderful community of sort of choral singers, which has been definitely one of the highlights for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. And talking about sharing the stage, you shared the stage with some incredible people. I mean, I'm just having a quick look here. Catherine Jenkins, Beyonce, Hayley Westerner, Simply Red. You've literally performed all over with all different types of people. That must be an incredible experience in itself. Have you got to perform with perhaps somebody who was like a musical hero for you in the past? And how did that go? I'll ask Jem first of all.
Well, I think I know what Paul's going to say, but we were just on the. You mentioned Catherine there, and we were very fortunate to sing, quite a few years ago now, Sir Bobby Robson's memorial in Durham Cathedral. The family asked us and the FA asked us to perform Nessun Dorma in sort of an ode to his 1990 World Cup success. Well, semi-final exit, but success in giving birth to football again. I think we claimed football back in 1990 with Sir Bobby. And we were we've been very blessed over the years to be a part of his charity work when he was alive. And Lady Elsie, who's just turned 90, happy birthday, Lady Elsie, the other week, if you happen to be listening. And we've sort of been part of the furniture with the Robsons for quite a few years. But we were very lucky to perform at the Durham Cathedral, and Catherine, she also sang us. I think they liked her very much as well. So she and we performed there, and that's sort of linked through to Sir Bobby. But I have the feeling I know what Paul's going to say, so I'll let him say it.
Do you?
Go on, Paul.
I do.
Well,
I do.
It's one of these things where you sort of pinch yourself moment because you just it's part of your day. We were once singing the night before one of the Grand Prix out in the Middle East, and Mick Hucknall was singing. We were sort of warm up act for Mick Hucknall, and he was so good that you forget how amazing a voice it was. And it's quite humbling that he was really nervous because, you know, there were only sort of 3,000 people there. He's not used to sort of performing for sort of small crowds. And that was sort of one of those, and just standing and listening to him and just being on a sort of same billing as Tim and, you know, and chatting with him and the bookers backstage, you know, being sort of treated as equal to such a great artist was very good. But one other thing that's just leapt in my mind is Jeff Wayne, his War of the Worlds.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I remember listening to that in, you know, like first form at school. You know, that dates my vintage, doesn't it? And you know, that brilliant, you know, soundtrack to War of the Worlds. You know, that's toured all over the world and he's still successful today. We got invited to do he wrote a special arrangement for us to sing at Royal Festival Hall with him conducting. And so he likes to get everything pre-recorded first, just in case, because that's the way he works, even though we did it live on the day. And so part of it had already been written. And he said, there's a guide vocal, so just listen to that guide vocal and just sing it back for your harmony. And I was like, I recognise that voice. Who is it? And he said, that's Gary Barlow. Gary Barlow was giving me my guide vocal. I was like, it was really, really wonderful moment. And he was just like writing new harmonies for me on the spot, just like it was nothing. It was really, real privilege, really special.
So neither of those stories are what I thought Paul was going to mention. I thought he was going to mention Willard White. And
he did, yeah.
That's what I thought you were going to mention, because he was your inspiration, wasn't he? We were lucky to sing with him.
He was.
But you'd forgotten about that.
He's such a big shot now.
To be honest, I expected to come across, you know, because my career was sort of more classical and more operatic to start with. I kind of expected to come across Willard White and those sort of superstars of opera, which I had come across already in my career. But it's these, I never expected my career to take sort of such a popular route in terms of music, because I was always very much classical. So that's been the sort of shock and sort of joy for me.
I bet. Now, Jem, you're going to be performing, as I said, at the New Wolsey Theatre. It's literally a stone's throw from a rather beautiful statue of Sir Bobby Robson at the Ipswich Town Football Club. So you are going to be literally within walking distance of Sir Bobby. So he'll be probably keeping an ear out on your performance. Tell us what the audience can expect from the performance that comes to the New Wolsey on the Saturday, the 1st of June.
Well, it's hard selecting from a series of 20 years plus of songs, but this is the last tour date before we kick off on a new tour in the autumn, the Great Songs Tour. So this is our last date of the 20th anniversary. So in the 20th anniversary, obviously we selected songs that we've loved, audiences have loved. So you can expect the Pearlfishers duet, Nessun Dorma, two massive classical favourites that people coming who like classical music but don't really necessarily want to go to an opera but love those two songs. And then we've got real eclectic mix. We've got Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, we've got Make You Feel My Love by Bob Dylan, You Raise Me Up, which I think everybody knows from Westlife.
Yes.
Some songs we've written, Impossible Dream, Moon River. I could go on and on and on and on, and I won't because I bore myself. But it's a real joyous couple of hours of making music.
Oh, it sounds it. It really does. And if you want tickets, it's wolseytheatre.co.uk. Good luck to both of you. Do you get to have a chance to have a rest after this, or are you, because you are planning another tour, aren't you?
We are. We do.
Yeah.
Go on,
we tend to take a bit of time off over summer and catch up with family. I've got family sort of spread all over the place in different continents and countries. So it's nice to and tween children to take them away and give them some time in the holidays. So yeah, we do have a little break, but there's always something going on, isn't there, Jem?
Always. We always find some mischief to get into.
Well, good luck to both of you. It's been a pleasure talking to you today on the Ruby Shoes podcast, and I look forward to catching up with you in Ipswich.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Steph.
Stephanie.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great day. Cheers. Bye.
Tenors Unlimited chatting to me for the Ruby Shoes podcast there about their show, The Rat Pack of Opera in Concert, celebrating 20 years. It's on Saturday, the 1st of June. As I've said, it's at 7:30pm at the New Wolsey Theatre. You can get your tickets by going to wolseytheatre.co.uk. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, I'll be at this year's Suffolk Show, as I've been kindly invited to be a guest on the Rob Dunger afternoon show on the second day of the Suffolk Show. That's Thursday, the 30th of May, for Suffolk Sound Radio. They'll be broadcasting live from Inspire Suffolk Sound, which is number 646. And Rob and I will be live on air from 12 noon through till 3 p.m. So come along if you're coming to the Suffolk Show on that second day, and make sure you say hello.
What's on across Suffolk with Stephanie McIntyre, sponsored by Ruby Shoes Podcast, your weekly entertainment news podcast, available from your smart speaker, Apple, Spotify, or you just follow Ruby Shoes Podcast on Facebook and click on the weekly podcast link to listen.
There's a host of great shows on offer across Suffolk's magnificent theatres, and here is just a selection to tempt you. Thursday the 30th of May, as part of the Wolsey 550 celebrations, at the Lecture Theatre at University of Suffolk Waterfront Building, a host of local historians will be exploring the early life of Thomas Wolsey, his family connections and Ipswich's significant medieval maritime history. With presentations from Caleb Howgigo, Pat Grimwade and Phil Roberts, join them for an evening of lively debate, local history and dig deeper into Thomas Wolsey and the Ipswich he would have known. Tickets are just £6. For more information, go to ipswichtheatres.co.uk. Also on Thursday the 30th of May at the New Wolsey Theatre, The Windrush Secret, a one-man drama by Rodriguez King Dorset. Set in 2018, it's about a young white far-right racist party leader and black Caribbean diplomat and a white Oxford-educated Home Office government official who are giving speeches on the same day at different times in separate locations about 1 million people who migrated from the Caribbean to Britain between 1948 and 1973, the Windrush generation, and the British political scandal which began in 2018. One of them has a dark secret that he struggles to come to terms with during his fiery speech. It will change his life forever. Go to wolseytheatre.co.uk. Friday the 31st of May at 3 p.m, go to the Spa Pavilion Theatre in Felixstowe for Spirit of the Blitz D-Day 80th Anniversary Special. It's a 1940s songbook for a tribute to the legendary stars who kept us smiling through our darkest days. Spirit of the Blitz recaptures the tenacious optimism of war-torn Britain on the long road towards peace. Sing along to the swinging hits like Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree, Bless 'Em All, Leaning on a Lamppost, and of course We'll Meet Again. Starring Andy Eastwood, Maggie O'Hara and Pete Lindup, this feel-good show recreates all your 40s favourites, including Vera Lynn, George Formby, Max Miller, Bing Crosby, Anne Shelton and Gracie Fields. A truly heartwarming afternoon of live music and laughter. For more, go to spapavilion.uk. Also on Friday 31st of May, Dinosaur Adventure Live is back at the Theatre Royal in Bury St Edmunds, and it's even more rawsome. Bring your family and join the Brave Rangers for another action-packed dinosaur adventure in the all-new and exciting show Trouble on Volcano Island. When the island's ancient volcano becomes active, it spells danger for everyone, including the dinosaurs. It's a race against time to help our rangers and favourite dinosaurs in this thrilling prehistoric expedition to save Volcano Island from imminent disaster. Go to theatreroyal.org to find out more. And finally, a date for your diaries. At the Riverside Theatre in Woodbridge, Made in Dagenham is performed by the Riverside Musical Theatre Company next month in June. This musical, Made in Dagenham, is drawn from the real-life 1968 sewing machinist strike at the Ford factory in Dagenham in Essex. This strike was influential in the passing of the Equal Pay Act of 1970. Go to theriverside.co.uk to find out more. Do you have a forthcoming show or summer festival you'd like the Ruby Shoes podcast to feature? Tell us more. Jump onto our Facebook page at Ruby Shoes Podcast. Remember, you can always listen again to any of the Ruby Shoes podcasts via Apple or Spotify or your smart speaker, or just simply click on our weekly podcast links on our Facebook page and follow us too for all the latest entertainment news. I'm Steph McIntyre. Thanks for listening. We'll chat more about live theatre and all kinds of entertainment in next week's episode. In the meantime, check out those socials at Ruby Shoes Podcast. We'd love you to follow us and make sure you have a great week.